Indian student, Calcutta. Communist agitator, Calcutta. Indian police charge, Calcutta. Calcutta, largest city in India, capital of the state of West Bengal. A winter afternoon, 2 o'clock. A mass demonstration of thousands is scattered by police. Injuries are many and severe. 5 people die. This is the pattern of things in Calcutta, a city where the Indian shouts with bitter eloquence against his lot, where the harsh discontent of all India is focused. This is a crisis in a city, a crisis which could engulf the whole of India. An India famine-torn, poor, desperate for extreme measures, an India on the edge.
We certainly took up democracy with a very large enthusiasm when it came. But democracy, in my view, is in parts degenerating into collective oppression.
We are not sure which way is our way out. We are caught up in this mess, and life is getting more and more, as the crisis gets urgent, life gets more and more insecure, full of fear and uncertainty for all of us here.
It is bound to lead to either a military dictatorship or a rightist, militant Hinduism, which is coming on possibly in northern India, or to a communist takeover.
The worst thing is, we do not know what's going to happen. We do not see a leader in India. We do not know which path is going to go on. And the fear of unknown has seized the entire country, especially in Bengal, which is right at the, I would say, the vanguard of this struggle.
Any day this government may arrest me. I won't be surprised if this government arrests me. I won't be surprised. And I tell you, they have already detained without trial about 500 political workers.
3 spokesmen in the story of Calcutta, a place once nicknamed the City of Dreadful Night. This year, it has earned that title. 30 people have been killed on the streets, 8,000 people have been injured, 2,000 people have been arrested. For 20 years since independence, India has been ruled by the Congress Party, which has presented India as democracy's jewel in the East, the guard against communist advance in Asia. But this year, in Bengal, a pro-communist government won the elections to rule over the most extremist state in India. Inder Malhotra is one of India's leading political commentators.
The Bengali is politically more conscious. He is also more volatile, much more emotional. It was natural, therefore, that the Bengali took part in the nationalist movement with much greater fervor than people in many other states of India. It is no mere coincidence that Bengal was the birthplace of the terrorist movement. When Gandhi preached non-violence, the Bengali used a bomb. Now, in the midst of all these factors remains the paramount reality of last 20 years, and which is the 20 years Congress monopoly of power. Alas, this monopoly of power was used to ends which were not very savory or wholesome. The Congress rule was indeed a Congress misrule. There was bribery, there was corruption, there was all kind of mismanagement, and altogether the people were greatly disgusted.
Disillusionment in Calcutta is rife. The city is the industrial pulse of India and her biggest port. Here are unloaded the millions of tons of free rice from abroad. Without international charity, Calcutta and India would die. And even with charity, India dies a little each day. Calcutta is India writ small. Here is mirrored her poverty, her disease, her insuperable problem of overpopulation. Since the British left 20 years ago, the population has trebled. with 7 million, is now the world's most overcrowded city. The city has had crises in the past, but this year is the worst so far. An economic recession has created over 1 million unemployed. 170 factories are closed due to strikes and lockouts. Savage inter-union warfare has raged for months. Some trade union leaders have been murdered, and in the union struggles, the communists have gradually taken over. Food is short. 2 successive years of drought have ruined the harvests. The food speculators and the hoarders of rice have managed to raise the black market price to an unprecedented 5 times as much as normal. And all this in a city where every 10 minutes, day in, day out, an Indian dies of hunger. When the pro-communist government, known as the United Front, came to power in Bengal this year, it was seen as a savior. One of its organizers is a millionaire lawyer, S.K. Acharya. He has seen communism's growing strength among the young.
For our last 20 years, the young men of West Bengal had no future. Most of them never got any chance to study. Even if they did study, there was no chance of any employment. And this was the first time they thought that they would not only get the chance to study, but also the chance to have a job, to have a life, to have a family, and to live the life of a human being. And this is being destroyed by the present Congress machination.
Congress Party headquarters, Calcutta. After 20 years of monopoly power, the Congress Party, the ruling party of all India, the party of Gandhi and Nehru, has grown fat and sleek. For the first time, its once absolute dominion has been attacked. Despite the large sums which big business and the landowners have been forced to pay to the party, Congress is losing its grip. Its political wheeling and dealing have become a national scandal. Its organizer and the real political boss of the party in West Bengal is this man, Atulya Ghosh.
And people of India, that they will come.
Congress Party inherited a free and independent India, but democracy recently has taken a sinister twist. It has been brought into disrepute by a planned system of bribery to politicians. Their loyalties can be bought. They change sides in Parliament for self-seeking ends, a technique popularly known in India as floor crossing.
Democracy in India has reached a very critical phase. In the last 8 months, we have seen this nauseating game, what we have nicknamed floor crossing in this country, but which really means that legislators belonging to one party care little for their ideology or their any political decency. They keep changing sides, sometimes 4 times in 4 weeks, in order to keep themselves either in power or get themselves a job or for some other unwholesome or savory motive. And things have gone to such a state that 3 state governments have already fallen. And unless this disgusting process is checked, I am afraid the conditions in this country might degenerate to what was happening in the French Fourth Republic before de Gaulle, or even perhaps what happened in Pakistan before the army in our neighboring country took over. Let me say this, that the idea that the game of politics, the game of democracy must be played by democratic means, if not with loaded dice, that has got to take roots. In other words, political parties have got to come to some kind of an arrangement among themselves whereby this phenomena of toppling this government here and that government there is discontinued, and there's some kind of stability, and the administration is able to look to this country's formidable economic problems rather than be worried about just perpetuating itself in power, just preventing a defection here or trying to win over some adherents on the opposite side.
The pro-communist government of West Bengal fell by just such maneuverings last month, and in the present state of things in Calcutta, it's not wise to go against the new Congress government there. World in Action filmed this printing of the left-wing newspaper Voice of the People, a paper on the edge of the communist underworld. 24 hours after this film was taken, a police raid was made here. Some of the people, the editor among them, were arrested. Others have gone underground. The communists in West Bengal are cautious, and their leader still talks ironically like a parliamentary democrat. His name is Jyoti Basu.
We have still a long way to go. There are a lot of illusions amongst the people with regard to parliamentary democracy. And it is not only a question of illusions. We have still some hopes that we can preserve some of the democratic rights which we have. And even now, situation is not such that one can say that, well, one has to take to other means apart from elections and so on. So at the moment what we are saying is that we have to take our stand on elections as well as extra-parliamentary activities.
What do you mean by extra-parliamentary activities?
We mean mass movements on a very big scale on both economic and political issues.
Those mass movements have already started. A month ago, the Congress Party engineered the downfall of the communist-led government of West Bengal. It was dismissed on orders from Delhi. A puppet government was put in power in its place. This, the ousted left-wing government, has refused to accept. The communists have called for new elections because they are certain of victory. The Congress Party, on its part, continues to hold on to its precarious perch in the government and hopes to suppress demonstrations by force. In Parliament, then, deadlock. On the streets, a growing chaos and anarchy. In industry, a severe recession. Workers' protests have involved a new weapon in the industrial arsenal and a new word in the language, gherao. A local businessman, N. Mitter.
Literally, the word gherao means surrounding somebody. And the way in which it was employed as a weapon or a technique of industrial dispute was to confine members of the management in their places of work, sometimes outside their places of work, restrict their movement, confine them in a room, and not allow him freedom of movement until such time as the demands presented to him were met.
So after 200 years of oppression, these people, for instance, say colliery worker, or take it worker in a tea garden, they were treated like absolute animals. And for the first time in their life, after the United Front government came into power, they at least got back what we know in the common parlance as the right to behave as a human being or be treated as a human being. And that was their only demand. There was no question of undue influence or any coercive methods. They only went and made demonstration to get the legitimate dues or the share of the profits which have been taken at their expense.
There are growing rumors that the American Central Intelligence Agency is interested in stemming the growth of communism here. To a man, this is the belief among the students of Calcutta. A rally held inside the university. World in Action cameras were the first to enter here. They did so without the knowledge of the government. This is what happened, a tear gas attack by the besieging police. Three students were hit directly by tear gas shells. In all, 64 were seriously injured. Violent protest and even more violent repression is now common in Calcutta. Many see the students as the most violent of all. A Calcutta lawyer, Mihi Sen.
It is the youth, students mostly. They are full of idealism. They do not want to live in India that is so backward. They see a movie picture and see how prosperous the United States is, how prosperous. They go to England and see how happy life is, that these common, mundane, material problems have been solved. Life is so much easier. You can give so much of your time to creative work, and they hanker for that. But here, life is a drudgery. It's a curse to be an Indian.
The near collapse of government in West Bengal has brought extreme measures to the fore. This day, as on others, 20,000 armed police patrol the streets of Calcutta. This day, as on others, Indian fought Indian with brickbats and curses. And this day, as on others, over 100 people died of hunger in Calcutta. And still the parties jostle for power, with the unusual irony that the communists work through democratic measures and the ostensibly democratic Congress party play tough.
If it was left only to the Congress party, I think that we are not far off from complete subversion of parliamentary democracy in India. But we are attempting to stem this advance of reaction by means of big people's movements in West Bengal and throughout India. If the people fail, then because the ruling Congress party at the center has no faith in democracy or parliamentary democracy, I think that they would rather hand over the country to the army than to the left.
Armed forces are employed more often than not to break strikes in. And the Congress government may use military to suppress any democratic movement. They may do that. They have done it. They did it earlier. They are still doing it in some cases. And they, I think, will use it in future.
We are always waiting for reaction. The Congress, the government here, a stooge government which has been set up by the Congress party to put us in prison. But of course this is nothing new for us. And as you know, that already about 5,000 or 6,000 people are imprisoned and about 1,000 without trial. So any day some of us leaders who are left behind may be arrested.
Since their dismissal, all the leaders of the left who have escaped arrest plan for the future. In the 20 years of Congress rule, they have become used to arrest. Shubhat Banerjee, Communist Minister, 11 times imprisoned. Jotan Chakravarti, trade union organizer, 19 times imprisoned. Premnath Mukherjee, Labour leader, 9 times imprisoned. Ranjit Gupta, party organizer, 8 times imprisoned. Some feel that the solution now lies beyond mere politics.
I consider our problem is mainly that of an arrested culture. We are marooned in the 10th century. India was a great civilization. India gave the world mathematics, algebra, steel, and many other things. But India lost dynamism, and since then India hasn't moved. We have many invasions taking place. We have had cultural impacts, but we went to sleep. We switched our minds off. We did not think. There was no more creative thinking, only escapism. And as a result, India has not participated in any of the grand excitement of living, and the Indian has abdicated. And today, that's why the granary of the world is now what I call a free kitchen, where there are beggars. And in India today you find there is so much of chaos and confusion, but one thing is sure, that it is the crisis that is taking place is this, that India must come to 20th century and come fast. I'll illustrate what I mean by cultural lag, that the man who is piloting the Boeing jet very safely, if you fly Air India, he's also the man who believes in astrology, where the sun goes around the earth. The young man who is learning Boolean algebra, or who is teaching the complexities of subnuclear particles, he's also one who at the bottom of his heart believes it's all an illusion. And the man who is planning for 500 million people, he is considered unfit to plan his own life, and his wife has to be selected by his parents. This clash, this strain set up between a cultural backwardness and advanced technology with which we've got to live, this is almost killing India.
In a country where cows don't die of hunger, but people do, the maneuverings of political parties seem irrelevant. But the fact remains that democracy for India has become a game, a deadly game. Its death has often been prophesied. So far, in places like Calcutta, it's not quite dead. But democracy is in the grip of a disease at a very advanced stage. Culturally, India still looks firmly to the past, but the future is pressing on the country faster than she can cope.
There is a revolutionary situation, not only in West Bengal, but all over India. But you will also appreciate that the people of India and at the same time the Communist Party of India are not yet ready for the revolution. But if the Congress and the powers that be continue this sort of machination against the people's government, undoubtedly there will be a revolution.
But when I say revolution, I refuse to be labeled in the usual sense of bullets and blood and all that. That might come, perhaps it may become inevitable, but that's not really what I mean. There has got to be a convulsion here, because we are so deeply rooted in the past that there will be pangs and there will be some amount of bloodshed in order to pull India to the 20th century.
Do you think communism could bring us about?
Yes, and that's what makes me afraid, because communism has a relevance today in India, but communism has become too backdated. It is too facile. Intellectuals can see through it. We have seen the failure in Russia and China, and it is awfully wasteful. It's an old anachronistic, it's like a 4T model, where in these days of modern automobiles with swept wings. I feel we have choice between communism and nationalism. But no other political party in India have got or has got any as much relevance as the communists have, because it is the communists only. Their totalitarian methods can really, regardless of the cost, drag India to the 20th century. They have done it at awful cost in Russia. They are doing it at colossal cost in China, and they might do it here. But the only trouble is, we have seen this bloodshed, we have seen this awful wastage of human energy, waste of time, and I think they could be saved. It could be done more economically, more wisely, more scientifically in this enlightened era.
If this is the pattern in Bengal today, it is because it is the result of economic failure. And it's not an economic failure which is confined only to one part of India. Recession has started in other areas. Food problem has started in other areas. Unless this is checked in Bengal, it will be the pattern for the whole of India. India is on the trial in Bengal, and I hope this trial will be successfully met, but it needs an all-out effort to meet it in Bengal.
First of all, we've got to become a nation. We have nearly 3,000 castes, 300 languages, as many sects, and so many divisive tendencies. And there is always any demagogue. Parliamentary democracy has given us a host of demagogues who use, because the people are illiterate, they go to the villages, and the people do not, these are illiterate people, they cannot read and write. So they have to depend on the spoken word. And the spoken word has got to be in a language they will understand. And the language they understand is that of superstition, of prejudice, of petty selfishness and regionalism, local patriotism. And that is being whipped up all over the country. And this is what is awful. We don't see any way out. This goes on, and our population is increasing. although the number of schools are increasing, there are more illiterates today than when we became independent. To give you a figure, in 1951 we had 230 million illiterates, now we have 375 million illiterates, almost 3/4 of the population. And in every field, there are more unemployed people, angry, because they see Europe is only 6 hours from here, and it almost seems Europe, a paradise. People go to Japan and see what they are rising from the ravages of war, from the ashes, so to say, and they have built a wonderful life. And yet, we didn't have the ravages of war. We almost got the whole machinery intact. And why didn't we catch up? The trouble is somewhere else. That's what I say. Japan got the same AIDS, Germany got the same AIDS, and they were completely bombed to the shreds. It was dust. And yet they built such a wonderful civilization, and we have not been able to. We did not click. And that is our cultural lag. And I feel totalitarian upheavals like nationalism or communism will have to come. Parliamentary democracy, I'm afraid, although I'm a trained lawyer, I believe in Dicey, I believe in Ivor Jennings, I am a lawyer, I'm constrained to say I don't see any way to carry on with parliamentary democracy. It will have to wait for 20 years until every Indian is educated, until he has enough food to eat, until there is a house for him, until his children are safe from disease and epidemics, and then only he can exercise the responsibility that democracy imposes on an individual. Here there is no time.
Today, Monday the 18th of December, there were further protests on the streets of Calcutta. The people still shout, the poor still die of hunger, the politicians still maneuver. This is the face of a democracy at sunset.